I'm Myra.
And I'm Sochil, and this is Besties in Business B2B TV. And if you've ever wondered if you could build a better mousetrap, Gabriella Risatti of Gabriella Bridal in New York did exactly that after she went bridal shopping with some of her friends and was kind of appalled by the lack of service and lack of style, and subsequently launched Gabriella New York, which is probably one of our favorite bridal.
Thank you.
It's high fashion, I think, is the important thing to know. So, Gabriella, do you want to tell us a little bit about this genesis and kind of how it all came to be?
Sure. Two of my very best friends got engaged right around the same time, so I went wedding dress shopping with them, and I had this vision in my mind of how it was going to be, and then we got there and it was not at all what I thought it was going to be. We had our pretty woman moment of telling them what our budget was, and then the woman saying, "We'll see if we have anything for you."
Nothing for you.
Nothing. Big mistake. Huge. Which was shocking to me. And you know, a lot of salons, and this was, you know, over 10 years ago. Things have changed somewhat since then, but still there's a lot of salons where the dresses are in a stock room and you tell the person what you want and they go back and bring it out, and I felt like very stressed by this. It was like, I want to see what's in that stock room. You know, that's not how women shop, right?
Yeah. The bridal portion was new, but the kind of retail portion wasn't.
Well, so I worked at Ralph Lauren for a long time, and I was in the buying office for the U.S. retail stores, and part of that, a new president had just come on when I started, and he wanted to open more retail stores and also sort of close down, redo, and reopen a lot of the existing ones. And so I spent a lot of time going to these different places and opening or reopening stores, and it's amazing that I had that experience because I got to see how does Ralph Lauren do it, and he was very much involved, and you know, they don't do anything without it being really, really well done. So it was really good training for me to see.
Okay, but no, that's not a small, because that first space was a real estate like gold mine, right?
The meatpacking district, yep. So that was, I mean, it took me a long time to find the right space because I wanted a lot of natural light. I needed, you know, I wanted it to be really open. I wanted to have a New York feel that was me, you know, so my aesthetic. So I wanted those hardwood floors and those, you know, old, you know, those touches. But I didn't have $1 million, so that's the problem in New York City, right? So
from Ralph Lauren, like, how does it become then? Like when you're in bridal, how do you start out, right? Because
it's a good question. Well, so I started out by taking everything I had been doing in my whole career and trying to apply it to bridal, which was like a spreadsheet with like how many lace dresses and how many cap sleeves and how many, and like I quickly was like, all right, tear that up, because bridal just doesn't work that way. One of my biggest obstacles in the beginning was getting people to sell to me. I got a lot of rejection.
Really?
Yeah. You know,
like, I'm not asking for free, guys.
I know, it's like, I want to give you my money. Like I have money to give you in exchange for these dresses. But, you know, I mean, there were a couple things. First of all, you're in New York, so there's a lot of competition. People were already, designers were already represented in different stores, and they didn't, you know, I kept saying to them, but I'm downtown, I'm in the meatpacking, I'm going to get a totally different clientele, and we're in New York City, so not only do you get the 10 million people that live here, you get all the people that fly here from around the world to go wedding dress shopping.
Oh my gosh.
So there's
enough,
there's enough brides to go around, and so it took a lot of convincing and begging, and you know, most people just said no to me in the beginning. And I had a personal relationship with the people at Marchesa, and so they had an exclusive agreement with Bergdorf's that I knew was coming to an end, and I begged them, you know, I will do anything, even just one dress, just let me put Marchesa on my website, because the bridal was new for them then. And because of that relationship, they let me do it with a lot of like, okay. And it's been great, and I still carry them, and we're doing great with them. And then once I had a similar experience with Angel Sanchez, and one, you know, so that started, and then other designers slowly came.
Once other designers know that this is something that is going to work.
And then in the meatpacking, I remember one person saying, like, the meatpacking, are you crazy? You know, and so once then the meatpacking really started to make its change, it became a little more like, okay, we kind of get it.
How important do you think editing is to keeping a luxury brand?
I mean, can't say enough about editing, because there's two ways designers do it. They either make you do the editing or they do the editing for you. And it's obviously not only easier for me when they do the editing, but usually it's a better representation of the collection and of their line and of them personally.
Right.
So I think it's incredibly important, and it just makes it a little more special.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What was it like going from having kind of the steady paycheck to then and how did you, was it like friends and family investment to getting it started? Because it's a lot of money to get those samples.
Lot. Well, and exactly, you have to buy, and this is something a lot of people are kind of surprised about. I own every dress in the shop. So when you first open, not only do you have to do rent in New York City, like first and last month's rent and a security deposit and the broker, all of that, then you have to put so much money down to buy all those gowns up front. So I tried to do a small business loan, unsuccessfully, which was, I mean, that's like, so that's its own segment. I tried really hard to, and I didn't get it, and then I appealed, and then I did get it actually, and then at the last minute they realized that they didn't tell me that my lease term had to be the same as my loan term, and I had signed my lease and it wasn't the same as the loan term, so it got pulled after I had placed the order for the dresses.
Of course.
Which was, I'll never forget that moment ever in my life of pure panic.
Yeah.
And so
I just felt it.
Yeah. Oh man, because I had placed the orders. I mean, I was in it.
Yeah.
And I had quit my job, so I was really in it. So in the end, I ended up getting investors. So I got half the money from investors. I put together a whole proposal, sent it out. It was mostly friends and family, and I did it. I tried to get one person to do it all, and I almost did, but not quite. So I did small, like $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 from multiple people, and then I did one larger loan from my family, which my dad came up with a family of entrepreneurs, and I had initially gone to him for the money, and he was like, no, like just straight up no, like no, nothing, just like no.
Worse than the bank.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, wait, but you're my dad, and then of course in my time of panic, he and I get it and I respect it. He wanted me to go through the proper channels and to go through. If he handed me money, I wouldn't have had to work for it, and I wouldn't have appreciated it. And so after I'd gone through all of it, he gave me a loan with interest, like very above board, which I have paid off now finally over time. But I was lucky to have that. I was very lucky to have that.
Yeah. What would you be your bit of advice for people that don't have the cash?
Well, there's so many people out there who want to fund small businesses, and I didn't realize that at the time. And once you start doing research, I also had a great resource, New York City Small Business Solutions. They have a whole government agency who is just there to help small businesses in New York, which is, and I'm sure many cities across the country have that.
Right.
But you just have to ask.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and it's hard to ask for money. It doesn't come easily. And I got the greatest advice, which was, you have to propose it as you're giving them the opportunity to invest in this business. And I needed to get there in my mind because I felt so uncomfortable being like, give me money. I know I'm going to do a good job and work really hard. And so, okay, you don't have to give me any money. I understand. Before they even had the chance, you know?
It's really interesting because in some ways, like, getting a second wave of funding is so much easier than the initial.
Absolutely.
Because I think that sometimes you feel really like, I haven't figured out what this business.
Right. Well, and meeting with these people who are angel investors or whatever, whoever they are, every time you take a meeting, it gives you the opportunity to learn something.
Yeah.
They give you feedback, and these people have the money for a reason, right? They know what they're doing, and they can give you so much help and advice and point you in the right direction. There's a lot of people out there with money who are dying to fund a small business.
How much does trend versus timeless play into how you stock the store with brick and mortar?
The whole thing first started of like the online wedding dress and stuff, and it made me a little nervous. And then I was like, no, we're selling the experience as well as the dress, and it's something people want to come to with their mom or their best friend or bridesmaid or whoever, and they want to have that experience. And in terms of the trend of like the style, I do think there are trends, and it's interesting because there are some women, and this is always interesting to me. You'll see, I mean, we're in New York City, right? So you'll see these women come in and they're just like, they're so stylish. They so know what they're doing in terms of, what they're wearing. But at the end of the day, they want a classic, timeless wedding gown. You also see the opposite, right? But you just don't know. It's the ultimate. You cannot judge a book by its cover.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Your personal life has changed so much in the time since you've had the business. And what has that helped you do as a better as a business owner? And how is that like?
You know, I mean, I think for me particularly, going through a breakup, a pretty significant breakup, someone I was living with and was with for a long time, and I was 31 and thought like we were going to get married, and then it was like, oh, we're not. And then I'm having to go into work every day and have girls come in who are getting married and be like, you look amazing. Like, you know, and it's like, I'm really happy for you. I really am. You know, so it's hard. You know, you go through these personal things, and it's hard. But at the end of the day, it's your business, and I'm so thankful that I had this to distract me from the harder times, you know. And then going through getting married, when you own a dress shop and you know, I mean, I put pressure on myself. I felt the pressure of like, what is she gonna wear, you know? But I tried to just really separate and try to make it, okay, this is about he and I, and not about the dress or the industry or anything else. Which I think we went to Vermont. We tried to get as far away as possible. I think we kind of succeeded.
And then kids, like, has that? Time management?
Oh yeah, them. Yeah, I mean, the kid thing was the biggest game changer, obviously. Yeah. Because, like I said, I always say the store really was like my first child, and it was always came first above everything. And then you have a child, and you can't really be selfish anymore. And so, but I think it's been great because it forced me to let go. It forced me to allow other people to do things that I was doing that other people were perfectly capable of doing. And it kind of gave me a new freedom of feeling like, oh, I don't have to be at the store every single day, because when you have a baby you can't, right? I mean, you literally can't be there every day, and so you're forced into this, and it's a really good thing.
I think that those things, you know, teach you that it works out.
It all worked out. I mean, miraculously, there were no mistakes. There were like no problems whatsoever, you know. And that's about having good people, right? You know, I mean, I think your team is just like one of the things I wish, you know, if I could go back and do things over, I would have hired people sooner. I felt so stressed about money and spending the money, and I now know spending the money on good people is absolutely worth it, and you'll get it back in your bottom line, right? You know. So that I really wish I would have done that sooner.
And it's hard because like it's a different type of fiscal responsibility with the business than it is.
Well, I had other people's money,
right?
So I was just very conscientious of every single dollar that I spent. And I also opened the store in July of 2008, and the entire world fell apart like 10 minutes later. So literally, like Lehman closed in September. Like, I mean, it was a really, really tough time to have a new business, and I mean, that first 18 months was brutal. But I'm glad I went through it because we survived somehow miraculously, and it was really tough. But now I've developed really good habits in terms of spending, and I also appreciate every single moment of success we have, because I mean, it was, you know, I had to move out of my apartment. I was sleeping on a friend's couch. I mean, it was like I couldn't even afford to take the subway. I was like walking to work. I mean, it was tough for everyone. But it was especially being a new business, selling expensive wedding gowns. It's just
well, people were ashamed to spend money for a really long time. And so that was really hard.
It was really hard, and I had an opening price point designer who I still have, who's been amazing, is Amy Cashel, and that January I remember we only sold Amy Cashel because they were like 2,000, 2,500, and it was like perfect. You know,
so interesting. Where do you see it in 5 years?
It's a like conversation I have with my husband a lot. You know, when I first started, I thought I'd be opening multiple stores. That was my growth strategy. But now I've got I have a 4-month-old and a 3-year-old. I mean, I don't want to be on a plane. You know, I want to, and I think you really need to physically be there, especially in the beginning. So for right now, I won't say that's out of the question. I do think in the future that could happen.
Maybe 10.
But yeah, maybe 10. For now, I think getting us into a great place in this space is my immediate goal, which we're finally there. I always think about if I could do something that has the Gabriella New York label on it, not necessarily a dress line, but something else, because I don't really want to compete with my designers, and I have amazing designers, and that is not my area of expertise. So that's something that I've thought about doing. It's sort of always in the back of my mind.
Yeah.
And then from there, I think it will be opening another store in another city.
Yeah. When,
We'll see.
when everybody's at school.
Yeah, exactly. College, no kidding.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much for
absolutely.
joining us.
Of course, my pleasure.
A lot of fun. And Gabriella is at Gabriella Bridal on social, or is it just
Gabriella Bridal, yep.
Gabriella Bridal,
Yep.
and you can check out this video at bestiesinbusiness.com with all the other videos, and on social media at bestiesinbiz. Thank you.